Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, looking out at the darkness of space. He was a commander in the Earth Navy, and today was different from any other day in human history. Strange signals had been coming from the edge of their solar system for the past week. Now they knew what was causing them. 12 massive ships hung in space near Pluto. They were huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. The ships were covered in a strange blue metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Jake had never seen anything like them before, and neither had anyone else on Earth. "Commander, we have a message coming in from Earth Command," said his communications officer, Lieutenant Nancy Kim. Her voice was tight with worry. Jake nodded and activated the communication system. Admiral Lisa Carter appeared on the screen. She was the head of Earth's Space Forces, and Jake had never seen her look so serious. "Jake, we've received their message. The aliens call themselves the Caliph. They want us to surrender immediately and promise never to leave our solar system again." Jake felt his stomach drop. Humans had been exploring space for over 100 years. They had colonies on Mars, mining stations in the asteroid belt, and research bases around Jupiter and Saturn. Millions of people lived and worked in space. Now, what exactly did they say, Admiral? Jake asked. Admiral Carter's face grew even more serious. "They said humanity has grown too fast and taken too much. They claim we're a threat to what they call the Galactic Order. They're giving us 72 hours to agree to their terms." The alien message had been sent to every human base and colony at the same time. Jake watched the recording that Admiral Carter sent him. The alien speaking called himself Ambassador Vextar. He looked almost human, but his skin was pale blue and his eyes were completely black. When he spoke, his voice was cold and full of authority. "People of Earth," the alien had said, "you have expanded beyond your homeworld without permission. You consume resources that belong to the galaxy, not to your single species. You build weapons and ships that could threaten peaceful worlds. This cannot continue." The alien had paused, looking directly into the camera as if he could see every human watching. "You have 72 hours to remove all humans from space except for your homeworld. You will destroy your spaceships and promise never to build more. You will limit your population and resource use to levels we approve. If you do not agree, we will take action to protect the galaxy from your threat." Jake turned off the recording and looked around his bridge. His crew was scared. They had all heard the message, and they all knew what it meant. Earth had never fought a real war in space before. These aliens had ships that made human technology look like toys. "Sir, what are we going to do?" asked Chief Navigator Alex Stone. Before Jake could answer, another communication came in from Mars. Captain Dan Rogers was in charge of the defense station there. His face appeared on the screen, and he looked angry. "Jake, these aliens are making the same demands to every human base. They want us to pack up and go home like scared children. They're threatening the mining families on Ceres, the research teams on Europa, everyone." Jake knew Dan was right to be angry. Humans had worked hard to build their life in space. Families had been born on Mars and the Moon. Children had grown up never seeing Earth. Now aliens they had never met were telling them to give up everything they had built. Dr. Amy Brooks joined the conversation from Earth. She was the government's expert on alien life, though she had never dealt with anything like this before. "Commander Morrison, Captain Rogers, I've been studying what little we know about the Caliph. They've made contact with other species before. They call themselves peacekeepers, but they're really more like galactic police. They decide who gets to explore space and who doesn't. Has anyone ever fought them before?" Jake asked. Dr. Brooks shook her head. "Not successfully. They have technology we don't understand. Their ships can travel faster than light. Their weapons can destroy planets, and their shields can stop anything we can throw at them. Every species that has tried to resist them has been defeated." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. If Dr. Brooks was right, then humanity had no chance in a direct fight. But the alternative was giving up everything they had worked for, everything they had dreamed of. On Earth, President Helen Walsh was meeting with leaders from every country and every space colony. The video conference included governors from Mars, administrators from the asteroid belt, and scientists from the outer planets. Everyone was asking the same question: what should humanity do? "We cannot simply surrender our future," said Governor Patricia Lee from the Mars colonies. "My people were born here. This is their home now. But if we fight, we might lose everything," worried Dr. Carl Wright from the Jupiter research stations. "These aliens could destroy Earth itself if they wanted to." President Walsh listened to everyone speak. She was a former military officer herself, and Jake knew she understood the impossible situation they were in. Finally, she spoke. I will not ask humanity to give up its dreams because aliens we've never met have decided. We don't deserve them, she said firmly. We've spent generations reaching for the stars. We've built a life out here in space through hard work and sacrifice. If these caliphs want to take that away from us, they'll have to fight for it. The vote was close, but the decision was made. Humanity would not surrender. They would stand their ground and face whatever came next. Jake looked out at the alien ships again. 72 hours. That wasn't much time to prepare for what might be the most important battle in human history. But as he watched his crew working at their stations, he felt something he hadn't expected. Pride. Humans might not have the best technology or the biggest ships, but they had something else. They had the will to fight for their freedom, no matter what the odds. The countdown had begun. The 72 hours passed slowly. Jake Morrison barely slept during that time. He kept checking his instruments, watching the alien ships near Pluto. They hadn't moved much, but their energy readings were growing stronger. Whatever weapons they had were powering up all across human space. People were preparing for the worst. Families on Mars were packing emergency supplies. Workers on the asteroid mining stations were checking their escape pods. Scientists on the research bases around Jupiter and Saturn were backing up their data and sending it to Earth. But nobody really expected what happened next. At exactly 72 hours and 1 minute after the alien deadline, Jake's sensor screamed. With alarms, a beam of pure energy shot out from the lead Calais ship. It traveled across the solar system faster than light itself, reaching Europa in seconds. The Europa research station simply disappeared. One moment it was there, home to 300 scientists and their families. The next moment, there was nothing but empty space and floating debris. Jake stared at his screen in shock. He had known Dr. Karen Bell, the station commander. She had a husband and 2 young children. Now they were all gone, turned into atoms scattered across space. Dear God, whispered Lieutenant Nancy Kim from her communications post. They just killed 300 people. The silence on Jake's bridge was broken by incoming messages from every human base. In the solar system, everyone had seen what happened. To Europa Station, everyone understood what it meant. Captain Dan Rogers from Mars was the first to speak. His face was pale with anger and fear. They didn't even try to negotiate. They just murdered innocent people. Dr. Amy Brooks appeared on screen from Earth, her hands shaking. This is how the Caliph operate. They make an example first, then offer one more chance to surrender. It's psychological warfare. As if to prove her point, Ambassador Vextaris' voice filled every communication channel in human space. His cold, emotionless tone made Jake's skin crawl. People of Earth, you have seen what happens when you refuse our generous offer. The research station contained exactly 300 humans. They died because your leaders chose pride over wisdom. You now have 24 hours to reconsider your position. Surrender now, or face the consequences of your defiance. President Helen Walsh called an emergency meeting with all military commanders. Jake joined the video conference along with dozens of other officers. Everyone looked shaken by what they had witnessed. The situation has changed. President Walsh said grimly, these aliens aren't just threatening us anymore. They've committed murder. They've killed our people to make a point. General Ray Thompson, head of Earth's military forces, pulled up tactical displays showing human defenses. Madam President, I have to be honest. After seeing what they did to Europa Station, I don't think our weapons can even scratch their ships. That energy beam they used operates on principles we don't understand. Major Susan Davis, the intelligence chief, added more bad news. Our spy satellites have been watching their fleet. Each of those 12 ships is the size of New York City. They're covered in weapons we can't identify. Their shields are active even when they're just sitting there. Jake listened to the reports with growing frustration. Everything the military experts said was true. Humanity's best warships carried nuclear missiles and particle beam weapons against alien technology that could destroy a space station from across the solar system. Their weapons seemed useless. But then Dr. Paul Martinez joined the conversation. He was a physicist who worked in the secret laboratories under Cheyenne Mountain. Jake had heard rumors about the projects there, but nothing specific. General Thompson, I may have something that could help, Dr. Martinez said carefully. For the past 5 years, My team has been working on theoretical weapons based on dark matter manipulation. We call it Project Prometheus. President Walsh leaned forward. How theoretical, Doctor? Very theoretical, ma'am. We've never tested it on anything larger than a basketball, but the math suggests it could work against targets of any size. The problem is that it's dangerous. If we make a mistake, we could accidentally destroy the moon. The room fell silent. Jake could see the weight of decision pressing down on President Walsh. Use an untested weapon that might save humanity or might destroy them anyway. Or surrender and hope the aliens would keep their word about letting Earth survive. Lieutenant Colonel Pete Harrison, who commanded the Lunar Defense Grid, spoke up. Ma'am, I've been tracking the alien fleet. They're moving closer to Earth. Based on their current course, they'll be in attack position within 18 hours. Captain Kate Williams, piloting a small reconnaissance ship, had been following the alien fleet from a safe distance. Her ship was designed for stealth, and so far the aliens hadn't noticed her. President Walsh, I'm seeing something strange. These aliens seem to communicate through their computers a lot. Their ships are constantly sending data back and forth. Dr. Martinez looked interested. Captain Williams, can you tell us more about their communication systems? They use some kind of quantum network. Everything is connected. Every ship, every weapon, every shield generator. It's like they have one giant computer brain controlling their entire fleet. Jake felt a spark of hope. That could be a weakness. If they're all connected, maybe we could disrupt their network somehow. Dr. Amy Brooks nodded slowly. The Caliph have always relied on superior technology. They've probably never faced an enemy that could hack their systems. President Walsh made her decision. Dr. Martinez, you have authorization to prepare Project Prometheus. Captain Williams, I want you to get as close to their fleet as possible and learn everything you can about their computer systems. General Thompson, prepare all our conventional forces, but keep them hidden. What about their 24-hour deadline? Asked Major Davis. President Walsh's expression hardened. We're going to do something they won't expect, something that goes against every rule of warfare and diplomacy. We're going to go silent. Jake didn't understand at first, but Admiral Carter explained. We stop all communications. No responses to their threats. No surrender negotiations. No pleas for mercy. Let them wonder what we're planning. Will that work? Asked Captain Rogers. Maybe, said Admiral Carter. These aliens are used to other species begging for their lives or trying to negotiate. They've never dealt with an enemy that just ignored them completely. The plan was risky, but it was better than surrendering or fighting a hopeless battle with conventional weapons. Over the next few hours, every human base and colony received the same order. Maintain complete radio silence. No transmissions in or out. No responses to alien communications. Jake watched as his communication systems went dark all across the solar system. Humanity was preparing for war in the shadows. They would use the silence to get ready for a fight. Unlike any in human history, the aliens had sent their warning shot. Now they would learn what happened when you threatened humanity's children and expected them to just give up. They would learn that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one who doesn't say anything at all. For 3 days, human space was completely quiet. No radio signals, no distress calls, no responses to alien demands. The silence was so complete that it seemed like humanity had simply disappeared. Jake Morrison floated his ship in the shadow of Saturn's rings, watching and waiting. His crew had practiced this maneuver hundreds of times, but never for real. They were hiding from an enemy that could destroy them with a single shot. The alien fleet near Pluto seemed confused by the silence. Jake's long-range sensors showed the Callus ships moving in strange patterns, like they were searching for something they couldn't find. They kept sending messages to Earth, but no one answered. Commander, they're getting frustrated, whispered Lieutenant Nancy Kim, even though they were millions of miles away from the aliens. Everyone on Jake's ship spoke quietly now. The silence had become sacred to them. On Earth, the quiet was even more strange. Cities that normally buzzed with radio traffic, television broadcasts, and internet signals were now as silent as ancient villages. People still lived and worked, but they did it without making any electronic noise that could travel into space. Dr. Paul Martinez worked day and night in his underground laboratory. His team of scientists, including physicist Dr. Tony Miller and engineer Rachel Ford, had torn apart their Project Prometheus weapon and rebuilt it 3 times. They knew they would only get one chance to use it. The dark matter calculations are holding steady, Dr. Miller reported, his eyes red from lack of sleep. But we still don't know what will happen when we fire it at something that big. Rachel Ford looked up from her computer. The targeting system is ready. We can hit any of their ships from lunar orbit. The question is whether our weapon will work or just make them angry. Dr. Martinez nodded grimly. They were building a weapon based on theories that most scientists thought were impossible. But after seeing what the aliens had done to Europa Station, impossible seemed like their only hope. Meanwhile, Captain Kate Williams was doing the most dangerous job of all. Her small stealth ship was floating just a few thousand miles from the alien fleet. She had been there for 2 days, studying their technology and looking for weaknesses. Her crew was small, but skilled. Lieutenant Bobby Chan was an expert with explosives and computer systems. Sergeant Mike Foster knew how to fight in zero gravity better than anyone in the human military. Corporal Lisa Garcia could hack into almost any computer system ever built. I'm picking up their communication patterns, Lisa whispered, her fingers flying over her keyboard. These aliens really do control everything through their network. Every weapon, every shield, every engine is connected to their main computer. Bobby Chan studied the alien ship designs on his screen. Look at this. They have one central power core for each ship, and it's connected to everything else. If we could plant charges in the right places. Captain Williams felt a dangerous idea forming in her mind. How many charges will we need to disable their weapons for one ship? Maybe 20 for the whole fleet. Bobby shook his head. We'd need to board all 12 ships and plant hundreds of explosives. It would be suicide. Not if they don't know we're coming, Williams said slowly. These aliens have never fought humans before. They don't know how crazy we can be. Back on Mars, Captain Dan Rogers was preparing his own surprise. The Mars Defense Network wasn't just satellites with weapons. It also included mass drivers, machines that could launch chunks of metal at incredible speeds. The alien shields are designed to stop energy weapons, he explained to his crew. But I don't think they're expecting simple kinetic projectiles. A piece of iron, moving at half the speed of light, will punch through almost anything. His weapons officer, Lieutenant Carol Baker, ran the calculations. Sir, we can launch 1,000 projectiles from Mars if we time it right. They'll all arrive at the alien fleet at the same time. Roger smiled grimly. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. On Earth, President Helen Walsh met with her advisors. In a bunker deep under Washington, D.C., the silence had been her idea. But even she was starting to worry about how the aliens were responding. They're sending messages every few hours now, reported Admiral Carter. Ambassador Vextar is demanding to know why we're not responding. He sounds confused. Dr. Amy Brooks had been studying the alien psychology. The Caliph have ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Every species they've encountered has either surrendered immediately or tried to negotiate. We're the first to simply ignore them. Is that good or bad? Asked President Walsh. I think it's good, Dr. Brooks replied. They're used to being feared and respected. Our silence is making them doubt themselves. They don't know if we're planning something terrible or if we've all killed ourselves. Rather than surrender, the truth was that humanity was planning something terrible, but not what the aliens expected. All across the solar system, humans were preparing for a war unlike any in history. On the asteroid mining stations, workers were building simple but effective weapons. They welded metal plates into armor and mounted mining lasers on small spacecraft. Their ships were slow and ugly, but there were hundreds of them. The research stations around Jupiter and Saturn had been evacuated, but their computer systems were still active. Teams of programmers had turned them into giant electronic warfare stations, ready to jam alien communication and hack their networks, even on the moon. Construction crews were building something new. Under the supervision of Dr. Martinez's team, they were creating the Prometheus Array, a network of dark matter weapons that could fire from multiple locations at once. Jake Morrison received new orders through a tight beam laser communication from Admiral Carter. His small fleet was to move closer to the inner planets, but stay hidden until the attack began. How will we know when to attack? Asked Chief Navigator Alex Stone. Jake looked at the message again. When the aliens try to destroy Ceres colony, intelligence says that's their next target. As if on cue, the alien fleet began moving toward the asteroid belt. Long-range sensors showed them approaching the mining colony where 20,000 humans lived and worked. Ambassador Vextar's voice filled space one more time. Humans of the Ceres colony, you have remained silent while your leaders chose death over wisdom. We will now demonstrate the cost of defiance. Evacuate immediately, or share the fate of Europa Station. But this time, the aliens would discover that humanity's silence had been hiding something much more dangerous than surrender. As the callous ships moved into attack position, they had no idea that hundreds of human ships, weapons, and warriors were moving into position around them. The silence was about to end, and when it did, the galaxy would learn what happened when you threatened human children and expected them to just give up quietly. The waiting was over. The real war was about to begin. The silence broke with the roar of human engines lighting up across the solar system. Jake Morrison's ship burst out from behind Saturn's rings at the exact moment. The alien fleet moved to attack Ceres' colony, but this wasn't the desperate charge of a losing army. This was a coordinated strike that had been planned down to the second. All ships. This is Commander Morrison. Jake broadcast on the emergency channel. Execute Plan Phoenix. Show them what humans do when you threaten our families. The first surprise came from Captain Kate Williams and her infiltration team. For 2 days, they had been sneaking aboard the alien ships using technology the Caliph had never seen before. Human stealth systems were crude compared to alien technology, but they worked differently than anything the aliens expected. Lieutenant Bobby Chan had planted his explosive charges throughout the alien fleet's computer networks. When he pressed the detonator, 12 massive Caliph ships suddenly went blind and deaf. Their sensors failed, their communications died, and their weapons systems started showing error messages. Target acquired, Bobby reported from inside the alien flagship. Their main computer is trying to reboot, but it's going to take at least 10 minutes. 10 minutes was all humanity needed. The second surprise came from the moon. Dr. Paul Martinez had spent 3 days preparing his dark matter weapon, and now it was time to see if human science could match alien technology. Prometheus Array is online. Dr. Martinez reported to Earth Command, targeting the lead ship, firing in 3, 2, 1. A beam of pure darkness shot out from the lunar surface. It didn't look like much, just a slight distortion in space that made the stars flicker. But when it hit the alien flagship, the massive ship simply came apart. The dark matter beam tore through their hull like it was made of paper. Admiral Lisa Carter watched from Earth Command as the alien ship broke into pieces. My God, it actually worked. But the real surprise came from Mars. Captain Dan Rogers had been preparing his kinetic weapon strike for days. Chunks of iron and steel, each the size of a car, came screaming across the solar system at half the speed of light. The alien shields had been designed to stop energy weapons. They were useless against simple metal moving at incredible speeds. The kinetic projectiles punched through alien hulls like bullets through cardboard. Direct hits on for targets, reported Lieutenant Carol Baker from Mars Defense Command. Their shields didn't even slow our projectiles down. Ambassador Vextar-S voice finally broke through the chaos, but now he sounded different. The cold authority was gone, replaced by something humans had never heard from the Caliph before. Fear. How is this possible? The alien leader broadcast. Your technology is primitive. Your ships are inferior. How are you destroying our fleet? Jake Morrison answered him as his own ship joined the battle. You made one mistake, Ambassador. You thought being advanced meant being better. But humans don't fight fair. We fight to win. The battle raged across the solar system. Human ships that looked like flying scrap heaps attacked alien vessels that gleamed like works of art. It should have been no contest, but the Caliph were learning that sometimes the ugly duckling has the sharpest teeth. From the asteroid belt came swarms of mining ships. Their industrial lasers and drilling equipment turned into weapons. They weren't fast or pretty, but there were hundreds of them, and they fought like angry wasps. Keep them busy, Jake ordered the mining fleet commander. Don't try to destroy them. Just make them confused. The mining ships swarmed around the alien vessels, firing their lasers at sensors and communication rays. The Caliph tried to swat them away, but for every mining ship they destroyed, 2 more took its place. Meanwhile, Captain Williams and her team were fighting inside the alien ships themselves. The Caliph had never imagined that enemies would board their vessels during combat. Sergeant Mike Foster led a team of Marines through the corridors of an alien dreadnought. The ship's artificial gravity was failing because of Bobby Chan's sabotage, so they fought in zero gravity using magnetic boots and short-range weapons. These aliens are terrible at close combat, Foster reported. They're used to fighting from a distance. They don't know what to do when we get up close and personal, Corporal. Lisa Garcia had hacked into the alien computer network and was turning their own weapons against them. I've got control of their missile systems. Shall I make them shoot each other? Do it, Williams ordered. 3 Callus ships suddenly started firing at their own fleet. The aliens tried to shut down the weapons, but Lisa had locked them out of their own computers. The tide of battle was turning, but the Callus still had advantages. Their remaining ships began to retreat, trying to get far enough away to use their long-range weapons safely. That's when the final surprise revealed itself. The research stations around Jupiter and Saturn hadn't been abandoned after all. They had been turned into electronic warfare platforms, and now they activated. Dr. Tony Miller, working from a hidden base on Europa, coordinated the electronic attack, jamming all alien communications. They can't talk to each other anymore. Rachel Ford, operating from a station near Saturn, added her own contribution. I'm feeding false sensor data to their remaining ships. As far as they know, there are human fleets everywhere. The Callus fleet, which had seemed so powerful just hours before, was now scattered and confused. Their ships fled in different directions. Unable to coordinate their retreat, Jake Morrison pursued the alien flagship, which was limping away from the battle with half its systems offline. This is Commander Morrison to Ambassador Vextar. Do you want to discuss surrender now? The alien's response came slowly, as if he couldn't believe what was happening. This is impossible. We are the Callus Confederation. We have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Lesser species do not defeat us. Lesser species? Jake felt his anger rising. You murdered 300 innocent people to make a point. You threatened to destroy colonies full of families. You called us lesser because we're young and we make mistakes. But you know what we are. We're free, and free people fight harder than slaves. The battle was over. Of the 12 alien ships that had arrived to conquer humanity, only 3 were still able to move. The rest were either destroyed or floating dead in space. President Helen Walsh opened communication channels to the remaining Callus ships. This is President Walsh of Earth. Your invasion has failed. Your fleet is defeated. You have a choice. Now, surrender and face trial for the murder of our people, or try to run home and explain to your superiors how you lost to a primitive species. Ambassador Vextar's image appeared on screens throughout human space. The proud alien leader now looked broken and confused. We underestimated you. We thought your silence meant fear. We were wrong. Yes, you were. President Walsh replied. You thought silence meant we were weak. But sometimes silence just means we're thinking of the best way to hurt you. The remaining Callus ships powered down their weapons and surrendered. For the first time in their empire's history, the galactic peacekeepers had been not just defeated, but humiliated by a species they considered beneath them. As Jake Morrison watched the alien ship surrender, he thought about the 300 people who had died on Europa Station. They had been avenged, but more importantly, they had not died in vain. Their sacrifice had shown humanity what they were fighting for, the right to reach for the stars. Without asking permission from anyone, the galaxy had sent Earth a warning shot. Earth had responded with fire that burned away any notion that humanity would ever bow to alien tyranny again. 6 months after the battle, Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of what used to be the Callus flagship. The massive alien ship was now under human control, and Jake had been promoted to admiral for his role in the victory. The ship was amazing. It was 10 times larger than any vessel humans had ever built, and its technology was centuries ahead of anything on Earth. But the most impressive thing about it wasn't the advanced computers or the powerful engines. It was what the ship represented, proof that humanity could take on the galaxy's greatest power and win. Ambassador Vextar sat in the ship's detention center, waiting for his trial. The proud alien leader had aged years in just a few months. The defeat had broken something inside him that might never heal. Admiral Morrison, Vextar said when Jake came to visit him, I have been thinking about our battle. I still do not understand how you defeated us. Jake sat down across from the alien prisoner. Over the months, he had come to respect Vextar, even though they had been enemies. You want to know the truth? We won because you never bothered to understand us. Explain. Jake leaned back in his chair. You saw our technology and decided we were primitive. You saw our small ships and thought we were weak. But you never asked the most important question. What makes humans fight? Vextar looked confused. All species fight for survival. No, Jake shook his head. We don't fight just to survive. We fight for our dreams. We fight for the right to explore and grow and become something better. You threatened to take that away from us, so we fought like our souls depended on it. On Earth, Dr. Amy Brooks was meeting with representatives from dozens of alien species. Word of humanity's victory over the Caliph had spread across the galaxy faster than light travel. Every civilized world wanted to meet the species that had done the impossible. The Zephyrian Empire wishes to establish trade relations, said one alien diplomat, a creature that looked like a walking tree with glowing blue leaves. The Centauri Republic offers military alliance, added another, this one resembling a giant butterfly with crystal wings. Dr. Brooks, now Earth's first official ambassador to the galaxy, listen to each offer carefully. Humanity appreciates your interest, but we're not looking for masters or servants. We want partners, equals. The concept seemed strange to many of the alien visitors. For thousands of years, galactic politics had been about who was stronger and who was weaker. The idea of true equality between species was almost revolutionary. Meanwhile, Dr. Paul Martinez was working with a team of human and alien scientists to understand the captured Caliph technology. The dark matter weapons that had won the war were just the beginning. The alien ships contained the secrets of faster-than-light travel, energy shields, and artificial gravity. This changes everything, Dr. Martinez explained to President Helen Walsh during a video conference. With this technology, we can build ships that can reach other galaxies. We can explore the entire universe. President Walsh smiled. How long? Before we could start building them, 6 months for the first prototype, a year for a full fleet. Rachel Ford, who had become the head of the new Human Alien Technology Division, was working on something even more ambitious. She was designing ships that combine the best of human engineering with alien science. Human ships are tough and reliable, she explained to her mixed team of human and alien engineers. Alien ships are fast and powerful. If we combine both approaches, we can build vessels that are better than anything either species has made alone. Captain Kate Williams had been given command of humanity's first deep space exploration fleet. Her ships were still being built, but she was already planning missions that would take humans to the far corners of the galaxy. We're going to explore everything, she told her crew during a planning meeting. Every star system, every planet, every moon. The galaxy is huge, and we've got a lot of catching up to do. Lieutenant Bobby Chan, now promoted to major, was training the first human space marines. They would be the soldiers who protected human explorers and colonists as they spread across the stars. Remember, he told his trainees, we're not conquerors, we're protectors. Our job is to make sure humans can explore safely, not to take over other people's worlds. Back on Mars, Captain Dan Rogers was overseeing the construction of a massive space dock. The facility would build the new generation of human starships, vessels that could carry entire families to distant worlds. My daughter was born on Mars, he told the construction workers. Her children might be born around a star we haven't even discovered yet. That's what we're building here, the future of humanity. The political changes were just as dramatic as the technological ones. The United Nations had been expanded to include representatives from every human colony and every allied alien species. President Walsh had been elected as the first president of the Human Federation. We're not just citizens of Earth anymore, she said in her inaugural address. We're citizens of the galaxy, but we'll never forget where we came from or what we fought for. The war crimes trial of the Caliph leadership lasted 3 months. Ambassador Vextar and his officers were found guilty of murdering the civilians on Europa Station. But instead of execution, they were sentenced to serve the families of their victims. Justice isn't about revenge, Jake explained to the families who had lost loved ones. It's about making sure this never happens again. Some of the younger Caliph officers chose to stay with humanity after their sentences were completed. They wanted to learn about the species that had defeated their empire. Through courage instead of conquest, the galaxy was changing. The Caliph Confederation, which had ruled through fear for 10,000 years, was breaking apart. Species that had been oppressed for centuries were declaring their independence. Some asked humanity for help, while others chose to go their own way. We're not trying to replace the Caliph as galactic rulers, Dr. Brooks explained to a gathering of alien ambassadors. We don't want to rule anyone. We just want the freedom to explore and grow. That freedom was already bearing fruit. Human colonies were being established around nearby stars. Scientists were making discoveries that would have taken centuries without alien technology. Artists were creating works inspired by alien cultures and landscapes. Children born on these new worlds would grow up as citizens of the galaxy. Speaking multiple languages and making friends with beings from dozens of different species, they would take for granted the things their parents had fought a war to achieve. Jake Morrison, now commanding humanity's largest starship, stood on his bridge and looked out at the star field ahead. Somewhere out there were worlds no human had ever seen, civilizations waiting to be discovered, and adventures that would make the war with the Caliph seem like just the beginning of humanity's story. The species that had once cowered before alien ultimatums now flew proudly among the stars. They had learned that the best response to threats wasn't surrender or negotiation, but the quiet determination to fight for what they believed in, no matter the odds. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once. They would never make that mistake again, and as human ships spread across the stars, they carried with them a simple message that freedom was worth fighting for. And as sometimes the youngest species could teach the oldest ones what courage really meant. The age of human exploration had truly begun.